Again, welcome everyone. Go ahead and continue to eat. We're going to begin the program. I'm going to introduce the presentation of the colors. The East Grand Forks Boy Scouts Troop 37 will be the color guard, and we will also have members of the East Grand Forks Senior High Choir sing the national anthem. Please remain standing until the colors have been retired. So if I can get the colors.
Color guard, attention. Scout salute. Those not in uniform, please place your right hand over your heart. Color guard, forward march. Color guard, halt. Color guard, post the colors. Start.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Two. Color guard, return to ranks. Audience, please be seated.
Thank you very much, Troop 37 and choir members. Appreciate it very much. Next, we're going to start the introduction of Mark Olsted. Mark Olsted has been on the council since 2013. He's in his fourth year as the council president. He's been a board member of the Pine to Prairie Drug Task Force. He currently is an in-house appraiser and security officer for Choice Financial for the last 14 years. Mark also served in the National Guard for 12 years and as a 12-year Bravo combat engineer. Mark is married to Melanie, who's a fifth grade school teacher at South Point Elementary, and this is her 24th year. He has 5 children, Christina, Casey, Marin, Macy, and Cameron. Mark likes spending time with his family, summers at Grace Lakes, and especially his AQHA horse shows. I'd like you to all welcome Mark Olsted, Council President, at this time.
Good afternoon. Welcome. I know some people are going to be here and some people aren't going to be here, so I won't have you come up here. I will look for you later. The mayor or I will find you, so just want to make sure we know that ahead of time. As I was driving around town the other day, I started to think about how things look, how the city operates, thinking, you know, this is a pretty great city to live in. Then I thought about, why is it a great city to live in? People that live here, is it how we were raised? I think it's just kind of, you know, how we take care of things. Do we see what goes on every day in the city? Probably not. Busy lives. We have work, meetings, family events. Do we take for granted what we see and what we don't see? Maybe we don't take it for granted, but we like to live in a city that's well-run, clean. I think that tells a lot about who works for the city. We have 71 people that work for the city, 26 people that work for the Water and Light. I know all of them take pride in what they do. It shows in our clean streets, our safety, our recreation, electricity, clean water, which always plug that. We're usually one of the top 2 or 3 clean water tasting cities in the state. So I always like to tout that a little bit. We have a great library, just to name a few things that what makes the city great. What makes that city great is the employees. And I'd like to touch base on some employees that we do have. And I'm going to read what their department heads gave me about their employee, why they are a great employee, and just bear with me. There's a couple of them here. I'm going to start with Public Works, which is roads, sewer, and garbage. Cletus Landa and George Weber have been employed by the city of East Grand Forks for 34 years. They both started working for the city's Public Works Department as truck drivers on October 1st, 1984. They worked riding on the rear of trucks collecting refuge from residents for many years until we decided to contract this out. Since that time, Cletus transitioned into commercial refuse collection and has the main front-load refuse truck operator since then. George was promoted to equipment operator. His duties include primary street cleaning, maintenance in the summer months, and snow removal during the winter months. Both these employees have highly valued individuals within the Public Works Department and are a big reason why the city stays clean and picked up throughout the year. I'll move on to the police, our safety presence in East Grand Forks. We're honoring Sergeant Aisel Schraga. He graduated from East Grand Forks High School, joined the East Grand Forks Police Department as a police officer in January 16, 2005. Sergeant Schraga exemplifies what East Grand Forks is all about. He has chosen to serve his community and his country in many ways. He has been an excellent police officer during his 13-year career and was promoted to the rank of police sergeant on April 30th, 2015. He is currently the task force commander for the Pine to Prairie Drug Task Force, which covers 8 counties in northwestern Minnesota. In addition, Sergeant Schraga, who has achieved the rank of Eagle Scout in East Grand Forks during the time as a Boy Scout, continues to give back as a leader with the local Scout groups. Sergeant Schraga has also served in the National Guard for 17 years, serving 2 tours, once in Bosnia and once in Iraq. Sergeant Schraga and his family reside in East Grand Forks. Move on to the fire department. Jeff Bushy will be the star employee of the fire department. He's our senior assistant chief and has been with the fire department for just short of 26 years. Jeff comes to work and gives 110% and always tries to leave the department better than when he walked in. He is the fire department training officer and spends many hours developing better training programs which betters our city. You could easily say he bleeds East Grand Forks fire. Park and Recreation Department, Quality of Life, Parks, Trails, it's Mr. Brian Larson. Supervisor of our ice facilities and Resurrection Cemetery for the Park and Rec Department, began his employment in December of 1984. Brian is an invaluable leader for our department. He is a lead by example kind of guy who sets the table for everyone in our department by his attention to detail and constant expectation for high quality of work. The role and importance of building and grounds maintenance is often an afterthought of those who participate in recreation activities, but is the absolute most important aspect of providing safe and enjoyable experience for the children and families that come to our facilities. Brian's years of experience and dedication of his trade have undoubtedly played an influential role in the success of hundreds of East Grand Forks events and has positively impacted thousands of children in their youth sports and recreation activities. For that, there's no one more deserving than Brian in the Gander Award. The Campbell Library, Melody Larson, full-time since 1978, and prior to that was part-time. She's been involved in story time, even shovel snow once in a while, interim director twice, cataloged thousands of books over the years, and still enjoys her work. Move on to Water and Light. Bonnie Abel started January 1986, has been the energy and customer service lead since March 2009, supervises utility billing, valuable employee for the past 32 years, and has done a great job managing the Water and Light Energy Rebate Program. Wealth of knowledge and has been the go-to person for answering difficult questions or issues that come up from time to time. So in closing, I'd like to thank these employees I mentioned and also all the employees of East Grand Forks. We might not see what they do every day, but we appreciate it and we're glad you take pride in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Next, Mayor Gander just asked me to have some comments regarding the East Grand Forks Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce continues to inform, promote, advocate for, connect, and educate over 1,000 members, of which you are a group. The Chamber works closely with the East Grand Forks on many of its initiatives, including the Way Cooler Than You Think workforce campaign, the Grow Minnesota visits, where working with Paul Gordy and the EDA, we jointly meet with individual businesses in East Grand Forks about growth opportunities. Additionally, our president, Barry Wilford, was recently in St. Paul with our legislatures regarding the importance of border city legislation, the bonding bill for NCTC, and the Minnesota business climate. Additionally, we continue to maintain the highly successful Business After Hours program, and on June 21st, it'll be at Hugo's here in East Grand Forks. They will host the event, and we expect more than 250 people in attendance. Just about every week, the Chamber has something going on in cooperation with the East Grand Forks businesses and city government. In addition to the highly successful Way Cooler Than You Think information recruitment campaign, the Chamber continues to focus on workforce. Workforce retention is one of the region's most challenging and greatest challenges. To work toward maintaining a skilled workforce in the Grand Cities, the Chamber has partnered with UND Career Services to hire an intern, and you probably met him or seen him. Andre, could you stand up and just let everybody know where you are? He's in the back here. And hopefully Andre will be able to meet with some of you, because we know that students who participate in experimental learning while they're at school are much more likely to stay in our region in the Grand Cities when they graduate. So Andre will be visiting personally with local businesses that have never had an intern and explaining the benefits of the internship, and we currently expect or would like as a goal to have 20 businesses hire an intern for the very first time in 2018. So Andre's got his work cut out for him, but he's been doing a great job for the Chamber. The Chamber will also continue with career conversations with NCTC, students, local companies aimed at increasing the availability of qualified workers and for the local employers. Also, as a benefit to the entire community, the Chamber helped obtain funding for the Grand Sky UAS Business Park. The funding, coupled with local resources, has helped create a whole new industry in the region. The industry is doing quite well, we may add. NCTC has started a new class curriculum directly, exclusively towards UAS, and they're currently at their Thief River Falls campus. Additionally, there's currently 375 non-Air Force jobs in the UAS industry in the region. And in 2017, these positions paid over $27 million in wages and had another total procurement and operations spending of $25 million. So congratulations to everybody at the Chamber for helping the region. The Chamber also continues to work diligently with Commander Colonel Spencer regarding base retention issues. We want to make sure that we're always here to retain our Global Hawk base, and we are a Global Hawk community. So with your help, the Grand Forks and East Grand Forks Chamber will continue to have a positive impact on our region and the Grand Cities. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce Mayor Steve Gander. Mayor Gander is a native of East Grand Forks, Minnesota, a graduate of East Grand Forks Senior High School and a University of North Dakota graduate. He graduated magna cum laude, and I can't even pronounce that because I wasn't smart enough to get there. Okay. From the Illinois College of Optometry. Dr. Gander ranked top in his 5 out of his class of 150. After graduation from optometry school, Steve joined Opticare Forks Vision Clinic. Steve enjoys working with patients of all ages. He has a strong background in children's vision and ocular disease diagnosis and treatment. Dr. Gander has also been published in a national professional optometry magazine. However, one of his greatest accomplishments was starting the 2018 East Grand Forks Grinder Awards for community service. Mayor Gander is now in direct competition with Marilyn Haggerty's Cheerful Person of the Week Awards. Okay. So, Mayor Gander is the past president of the Minnesota Optometric Association, All True Health Systems Corporate Board, the East Grand Forks Rotary Club, Good Samaritan Center, East Grand Forks Planning and Zoning Commission, the East Grand Forks Chamber of Commerce president, Christ of Kings Church Council, and is also a past alderman in the city of East Grand Forks. His hobbies include marathon running, camping, hiking, snowmobiling, fishing, hunting, and singing, and not so much, okay? And he and his wife, Roz, were married in 1990. They have 2 sons, Thomas and Jonathan. At this time, I'd like to please welcome East Grand Forks Mayor Stephen Gander, my friend.
I hold in my hand one of those coveted Gander Grinder Awards. There will be a few of those given out. In fact, all of the individuals identified by Council President Olsted will be receiving a Grinder Award, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Oh, yeah, you'll know more about it even when we talk about it. That's good. We can wait. Good afternoon, and thank you for coming to the 2nd Annual East Grand Forks State of the City Address. In his 1961 inaugural address, President John F. Kennedy said, "Man holds in his mortal hands the power to abolish all forms of human poverty and all forms of human life. And yet the same revolutionary beliefs for which our forebears fought are still at issue around the globe. The belief that the rights of man come not from the generosity of the state, that is, not from the government, but from the hand of God." Just think of the power that we have. We can help equip every person to enjoy economic prosperity, or we can end the world as we know it. This power brings with it enormous responsibility. Later in that same address, John F. Kennedy said the words that really set the bar very high for this whole generation pertaining to service. And that is, "And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." In the first JFK quote, he reminds us that the good things in life don't come from the government, they come from God. And many of them are delivered by people, just like you and me. In the second quote, JFK then challenges us to join in service to building this great country, this community. So, how can I serve? I ask you, as your mayor, how can I work to build this community? In a representative democracy, it's my job to listen, to learn, to understand your preferences, and to bring those into the place where decisions are made. That is my duty. So I need to ask questions, I need to listen, and by all means, I need to hear from you, your preferences. Now, in last year's State of the City Address, you all remember that we focused in on our city departments to highlight and showcase the ways that our community is served by these good people. By the way, I have to say, for completeness, maybe it was my rookie first year as mayor, I sort of forgot 2 video clips. I wondered how we ended on time. And it was Public Works and East Grand Forks Water and Light. Ironically, it was Water and Light Keith Mickelseth who helped put all the clips together. So I apologize for that. Now, in this year's State of the City Address, I would like to focus on our city boards and commissions, to present the people giving of their time and talents behind the scenes and without any fanfare to maintain and build our city. They're answering the question, how can I serve? The Civil Service Commission is responsible for a lot of front-end work that goes into hiring people for our city. They make sure that applicants are qualified, and they begin to compile the necessary information about each applicant. The commission consists of 3 community members and 1 staff member. They are Dave Lohr, Sheila Bruin, Denise Anderson, and Terry Knutson as secretary. Here's Sheila Bruin to tell us more.
Hello, I'm Sheila Bruin, and I have been asked to share with you today some information about the East Grand Forks Civil Service Commission. There are 3 commissioners currently serving in this capacity: Denise Anderson, Dave Lohr, and myself. The Civil Service Commission is established through the East Grand Forks City Charter, and commissioners are appointed by the mayor for 3-year terms. The role we are charged with is to assist in the hiring process for the city. While the commission meets on average once per month, our schedule is determined by the number of open positions for the city and the number of applicants applying. We work closely with the Human Resource Department and HR generalist Terry Knutson. Once the application timeline has ended for an open city position, and if needed, the civil service test is administered, commissioners meet with candidates for the first round of interviews. We are part of hiring for the city in all positions with the exception of city administrator. Our role is a component of the screening process as we look to narrow the number of applicants from a larger pool. Typically, we send 2 to 4 names forward to the respective department head for a second round of interviews that are more position specific. In the event that there are only a few applicants for any one position, the commissioners will review applications and could determine to move all of them through to the department head screening of interviews. That's it, your Civil Service Commission recap. Should you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact any one of us. We're here and happy to assist. On behalf of Denise, Dave, and myself, thank you. It is an honor to serve.
Thanks, Sheila and everyone. The Metropolitan Planning Organization serves Grand Forks and East Grand Forks in the areas of transportation, transportation funding, and other issues affecting the region. The East Grand Forks MPO representatives include Mark Demers, Council Representative, Clarence Vetter, also a Council Representative, and Mike Powers from the Planning and Zoning Commission. Now the East Grand Forks Planning and Zoning Commission works to determine the best use of land in the city for industrial, commercial, and residential purposes. It helps set the zoning requirements for various districts and works on enforcement of the zoning ordinances. The Planning and Zoning Commission also works on transportation needs and other infrastructure development within the city. The East Grand Forks Planning and Zoning Commission includes Chad Erickson, Gary Christensen, Charles Gordon, that's Commissioner Gordon, Kevin Marcotte, Mike Powers, Randy Bushy, and Mark Demers as Council Representative. At this time, we'll hear from Mike Powers about the MPO and the Planning Commission. Mike also serves on the Polk County Planning Commission.
Good morning. My name is Mike Powers. I have the honor and the privilege of serving the city on 3 different planning commissions. I'd like to take a little time and explain some of them to you. I'm explaining all of them to you. In the fall of 2008, a good friend of mine, Dick Grassel, stopped by the house one day and told me of an upcoming vacancy on the East Grand Forks Planning and Zoning Committee. We visited again, and I was appointed by Mayor then Lynn Staus. My first meeting was in January of 2009. I'm still on the board, and I was elected chair in 2015. The Planning Commission in East Grand Forks consists of 7 members of the city who voluntarily provide public input to questions regarding building projects that differ significantly from the city code. In addition, we also weigh in on new and revised plot applications, proposed changes, amendments, rules, regulations to current building code and zoning ordinance, and new and special use permits within the various zoning districts. All building projects in the city require a permit. If you don't get the permit and you start, you may have some problems after the fact. Another issue that is very common is that you don't get a permit at all. Of the 3 commissions that I serve on, I think this is the least hassle, and I think basically it's due to Nancy Ellis in her office. She's got her thumb on it very good. The next planning commission is the MPO, which stands for Metropolitan Planning Organization. The MPO is comprised of 1 county commissioner from Polk County and Grand Forks County, 2 members of each respective city councils, and 1 member from each planning and zoning committee. I'm on the planning zoning for East Grand Forks, and I represent the city on the MPO. What the MPO does is provide a forum for public officials, citizens, and other interest groups to establish policies, plans, and effectively deal with various metropolitan issues. It also gives technical assistance to planning to complete studies that identify solutions common to metropolitan problems. Examples: development assistance within the community, intergovernmental coordination, and wide area transportation and transit planning. The current work on the bridges is a classic example. Several years ago, we started looking at the Sorley for possible replacement because of its age. And when all the engineering studies were done, we more or less gave it a good paint job, and that was it. The Kennedy, on the other hand, is getting a whole new deck on the top. And we're going to have pedestrian access as well as bicycle. The MPO is led by Executive Director Earl Hogan. The next one, Planning Commission, is Polk County. Polk County is made up, the commission is made up of 1 county commissioner, 1 from each commissioner districts, of which there are 5, 1 for Polk County Officers Association, 1 from the Maple Lake Improvement District, 1 from Union Lake Sarah Improvement, 1 from the Mayor's Office in Crookston, and 1 from the Mayor's Office in East Grand Forks. That's me. We meet monthly to hold public hearings on applications for a conditional use permit, review planned unit development, and plans for subdivision of lands. The most common is the conditional use permit referred to as a CUP. Key considerations in issuing a CUP are: number 1, the proposed use is a conditional use expressly designated within the county ordinance. Number 2, the conditional use permit will not be injurious to use, enjoyment, and other properties if within the immediate vicinity, and it will not diminish property values within the immediate vicinity. Part of the Polk County Commission is Board of Adjustment. Going back to the CUP, the third consideration is it will not impede the normal and orderly development of surrounding vacant properties. Number 4, adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities have been provided or will be. Adequate off-street parking have been or will be provided. Number 6, adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent odor control, noise, fumes, dust, and vibration. Almost all conditional use permits have staff recommendations from the Polk County Planning Zone. Those recommendations are part of the permit. All conditional use permits are forwarded to the office of the county commissioners, and those gentlemen and ladies make the final approval. Now, the Board of Adjustment. The Board of Adjustment is another part of the Polk County Planning Commission. There's 5 people from the Planning Commission to meet to grant or not a variance. A variance, according to the statute, may be granted only when it is in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the zoning ordinance, and where strict enforcement of the county ordinance would result in a practical difficulty. Practical difficulty is the key. To determine a practical difficulty, we consider the following criteria, again established by Minnesota statute. Number 1, the property owner proposes to use the property in a reasonable manner. Very important. Not permitted by the official control. Number 2, the plight of the owner is due to circumstances unique to the property and not created by the landowner. An example of this would be an irregular shoreline on a lake lot. If granted, the variance would not alter the essential character of the locality. And number 4, economic consideration alone does not constitute a practical difficulty. The Board of Adjustments, our decisions are final. There's no recourse other than district court. Far and above the decisions that we render on this Board of Adjustments are the most difficult. Over the years, I have learned several things. Number 1, I listen real careful. I try to be analytical in my thought process, and I try to be fair. Some time ago at a fire marshal's school in Dallas, Texas, I met a fellow by the name of Norman Schwarzkopf. And when I got home, I read his book. And one of the guiding principles in his life was do the right thing. I want to thank Dick Grassel, Warren Strandell, Lynn Staus, and especially Mayor Steve Gander. I wear this shirt with pride and a statement. And when I walk into a planning meeting, especially in Crookston, they knew where I'm from and who I represent. Thank you.
Cannot ask for that measure of pride or professionalism from a volunteer. So thank you. Cemetery Commission is responsible for development and maintenance of the Resurrection Cemetery in East Grand Forks. The members include Dave Tucker, Len Vanasek, George Wagaman, Chad Grassel as council representative, Reed Huttonen as secretary. Here's Dave Tucker to tell us more.
Hello, I'm David Tucker, chairman of the East Grand Forks Resurrection Cemetery Commission. The commission is made up of 3 residents of the East Grand Forks area and the city council person appointed by the mayor. Chad Grassel is the representative of the council. The 3 members are George Wagaman, Len Vanasek, and myself. Our executive secretary is Reed Huttonen. We are fortunate to have Brian Larson as our head of maintenance. Our purpose is to maintain a reverent, peaceful setting for the remains and cremains of area residents and their families. We have installed 2 columbariums for cremains. These structures are architecturally a good fit for a resurrection cemetery. We also offer above ground and ground level monuments. The commission is extremely proud of the improvements we have made since the inception, and we thank the mayor and the city council for supporting our mission.
For the East Grand Forks Campbell Library, the Library Board helps set policy and provides direction for the library's staff and volunteers. Members of the Library Board are Henry Tweeten, representing the City Council, Ryan Moe, Carl Orn, Pat Hell, Therese Tiedemann, and Jeff Westrom. Here's Therese Tiedemann to tell us more about the Library Board.
Hi, I'm Therese Tiedemann, and I'm currently serving as the president of the East Grand Forks Library Board. The Library Board determines the policy for the city library. The members are representing a cross-section of the community and include a city councilman. Members are recommended by a board member or may volunteer, and recommendations are brought to the City Council and to the Mayor for approval. The board meets monthly to review the library director's reports, to discuss library activities, and decide on general principles and management, including budget, personnel, and policy. The mission of the East Grand Forks Campbell Library is to provide public library service on a fair and equitable basis to all individuals and groups in our service area. Library service today goes far beyond being a repository for lending books. The Campbell Library lends books for all ages, also lends movies, music, and artwork. E-books and audiobooks can be downloaded online. The library provides free internet access through computers and Wi-Fi. In addition, an exciting variety of programs are provided. There's one-on-one technology help, tutoring open to students of all ages. There's year-round fun and exciting programs for school-age children and their families. There's story time for toddlers and preschoolers, and Baby Bounce for babies to 24 months. There are genealogy resources and one of the most extensive military library collections in the region. The library frequently hosts art exhibits of local artists and other cultural activities. One library board member attends the board meetings for the Friends of the Library. These are volunteers who support and advocate for the library in many ways. The East Grand Forks Campbell Library is a beautiful and vibrant component for the quality of life in East Grand Forks.
Thanks, Therese. We have an active senior citizens center in East Grand Forks. The center provides meals every day at lunchtime, activities, and hosts many special events. The Senior Citizen Board is made up of the following members: Linda Larson, Jim McCauley, Bill Cummings, Darlene Curry, Bonnie Sletty, Ann Peterson, and Tim Riopel as council representative. Here's Ann Peterson to tell us more.
The Senior Center Board consists of 7 members who are appointed by the mayor and approved by the City Council. One of the board members must be a member of the City Council. Board members serve for a period of 3 years and are eligible for a second 3-year term. We are part of the Parks and Recreation Department. I think I can best illustrate our role by telling you about our March board meeting. We signed thank you notes to the Barrett and Enright families and Mendenhall Church for the wonderful pancake breakfast they prepared and served for us on March 4th. They have done this for many years, and it is very much appreciated. We set April 16th as the date for the next international meal. We have previously visited Germany, France, and Spain, and the next meal will be from Sweden. Other business included plans for a breakfast and bingo fundraiser on April 21st and our annual meeting on May 2nd. The board discussed the car show that will be held on June 2nd. I would like to encourage area senior citizens to stop in at the center and see what we have available. You will find line dancing, bone builders, a knitting class, card playing, computer help, dominoes, bingo, and friendly faces. You can visit with our new coordinator, Judy Del Valle, and eat one of Lori's delicious meals. In closing, the board and I would like to sincerely thank the City of East Grand Forks for its continuing commitment to area seniors. We would not be able to provide and enjoy all of these great events without the city's support.
Thanks, Ann. The Economic Development Authority works with residents and businesses to improve the economic vitality of our community. The EDA board consists of Ralph Messelt, Diane Blair, Justin Hecht, Daniel Black, Josh Grindy, Tim Riopel as council representative, Mike Pukshvinsky, council representative. Here's Justin Hecht to tell us more about the EDA board.
My name is Justin Hecht. I'm the current president of the Economic Development Board. Our board consists of 7 members, 5 members appointed by the mayor and 2 city council representatives. The appointed members serve a 6-year term on the board. The Economic Development Board serves the city of East Grand Forks by trying to retain and grow local businesses and create and support opportunities for commercial and residential growth within our community. In supporting these activities, our goal is to help the city achieve economic stability as well as increase the standard of living for all residents. One way we are working to accomplish this is by working with an outside firm to develop and implement a strategic plan and a marketing plan to align with the city's vision for future growth of our community.
Thanks, Justin. The East Grand Forks Water and Light Department provides drinking water and electricity to our residents. They maintain the infrastructure for the distribution of water and power. According to the city charter, they also participate in the cost of maintenance of city buildings. The Water, Light, Power, and Building Commission has the following members: Mike Quirk, Josh Grindy, Doug Gregoire, and Henry Tweeten as representing the City Council. Here's Mike Quirk to tell us a bit more.
Hello, my name is Mike Quirk, and I am one of 4 commissioners presently serving on the East Grand Forks Water and Light Commission. The commission is made up of 3 individuals appointed by the mayor and approved by the City Council. The 4th member is a council representative. Your Water and Light Department is very active in providing quality water treatment. We have some of the best tasting water within the state of Minnesota and an award to prove it. On the electrical side, we are one of few cities within the state that can claim to have 98% of our power lines underground. This means reliable power through storms and ice and no overhead lines or poles. We are very proactive in water main replacement and power upgrades for electricity. We have also looped our power to all of our substations to enable us to transfer loads during power outage events. A team of 27 trained staff provide over 400 years experience working with water and electricity. Together with our power supplier, MMPA, we have partnered to install a wind turbine at the east end of town and most recently installed 16 solar panels at the South Point Elementary School. We have installed fiber optic cable to almost all of the city buildings. We offer free internet service within these facilities for all to enjoy. We also maintain electricity and water at the DNR Red River State Recreation Area and provide internet for all visitors staying at the campground. We have one of the most extensive rebate offerings in the region for conserving electricity and water. As you think about electricity and water, please help us conserve the environment by signing up to give as little as $1 a month to help build renewable energy. Remember, we are your neighbors and friends. We are Water and Light.
The Convention and Visitors Bureau is a great resource to learn of fun things to do in our region, and a great place to go for people who want to arrange a conference or other tourism here. The CVB also helps support and promote local events while they're happening. Monica Evevold is our East Grand Forks representative on the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Let's hear from Monica.
Hello, my name is Monica Evevold. I am currently the 2nd Vice President on the Convention and Visitors Bureau Board. The Convention and Visitors Bureau currently has 9 board members, and I represent the East Grand Forks appointment. The Greater Grand Forks Convention and Visitors Bureau mission is to stimulate economic impact and to promote a favorable impression of our area so that when people are here visiting, tourists will choose Greater Grand Forks and make the most of their stay here. I've been on the Convention and Visitors Bureau Board for almost 9-10 years now, and I truly enjoy it. I appreciate what we do for the community in bringing visitors here, and then while they're here, making sure that their stay is exceptional. The CVB provides exceptional service Prior to when a visitor comes, they provide lots of communication, whether it's through the 55,000 visitor guides that are printed annually or through all of the social media that the CVB is on. It also has an excellent website that provides all of the areas, entertainment, attractions, restaurants, calendar of events. So whatever you're in the mood for or looking for, you can visit the Grand Forks Visitor Convention and Visitors Bureau website to find out more information. Another area that the CVB does an excellent job in is providing excellent service when a group comes to Greater Grand Forks. One example is when the Northern Lights Figure Skating Club was wanting to bring the Midwest and Pacific Coast Synchronized Skating Championship to the area. This was back in January 2017 when they came, but they partnered with the Convention and Visitors Bureau to make sure that they could bring this to our area, and they were able to do that by working with the CVB. The CVB gave the Northern Lights Figure Skating Club $15,000 sponsorship, and then once the competition or the championship was here, the CVB also gave another $26,000 in complimentary services, whether it was VIP gift bags, concession vouchers, all the indoor and outdoor signage that they needed in the arenas, promotional posters and banners, also coordinating room blocks and name badges, all of the promotions that let the community know that this event was going on. The CVB helped with that as well, whether it were e-blasts or social media. So the CVB is instrumental on both sides, helping get the visitors here, and then also when they're here, making sure that they're having the best stay that they possibly can have. As a matter of fact, I have a testimonial that speaks volumes for what the CVB does for our area. And this is from a representative from the Northern Lights Figure Skating Club. And it says, "We could not have done this event, nor would we even have been able to put the bid out without the full backing of the CVB. They were instrumental in us getting the bid and in pulling off a successful event. I cannot say enough wonderful things about Nicole and the whole team at the CVB." So with that, that gives a great example of what the Convention and Visitors Bureau does for our community, and they're always growing and always thinking of new and fun ideas of making Greater Grand Forks even better.
Thank you. We recently approved the formation of the Parks and Recreation Commission. The individuals who will volunteer their time to serve on that commission are Katie Baseflug, Tom McDonald, Allison Kelly, Mark McDonald, and Marla Wolf. After that list was finalized, we did have additional individuals come forward with a desire to serve. We will look for ways for each and every one of them to serve. The people who serve on these boards and commissions constantly work hard to make life better for others. They do it because they care about people. They do it because they love this community and want to make it better. They aren't out there in the limelight, but we could not do the work that we do without them. They're grinders who know the right thing to do, and they do it. Each of these individuals will receive a Grinder Award, good for one grinder sandwich at Red Pepper East in East Grand Forks here. Thank you for your service, each one of you. You provide more and build this community more than you could ever know. In my first year as mayor of East Grand Forks, I've often asked myself, how can I serve? One of the ways I've served is to have a great relationship with the whole delegation from Grand Forks, including Mayor Mike Brown, Council President Dana Sandy, City Administrator Todd Phelan, and the rest of the city officials in Grand Forks. Community Relations Officer Pete Haga and I have had many great visits already in the last year, and I find that his insights are always helpful, usually comical. I've attended a couple of meetings with Governor Doug Burgum, and I find that he has a great perspective on community development. Our connection to Grand Forks, North Dakota is a huge benefit for us here in East Grand Forks. I hope that our community is an asset to them as well. There are some things that we just don't have over here that our community members enjoy. The University of North Dakota brings many activities for us to enjoy. The patriotism and valor of members of the Grand Forks Air Force Base are an inspiration to every one of us. There are numerous cultural events in Grand Forks that we would not have the opportunity to do if they were not there. And many of our residents appreciate doing some of their shopping over in Grand Forks. And what about those potholes? Have you noticed we have no potholes over here in East Grand Forks? Not a single one. Actually, we have our fair share. We have a section of 20th Street Northwest and 5th Avenue Northwest, for example, that are in need of complete and total street replacement. One of the residents up there was calling me all last summer saying, "This massive pothole on the end of my street, when are you going to fix it?" Finally, at the end of the summer, he called and said, "You know, we're good. Somebody drove a subcompact car into there, and we just drive right over the top of that. We're good." Also, the condition of the streets in Grand Forks serves as a great reminder of just how important it was and the wisdom of the voters who passed the sales tax. Large part of that will go to maintaining the streets. I trust they'll get them taken care of now that they'll have appropriate funding. We do enjoy a friendly competition with Grand Forks. We look at each other's cities and learn from what they're doing that perhaps we could be doing to improve our service to our residents. I see Grand Forks removing leaves off the residents' berms, and I wonder, Jason, could we do that? I see them spraying this melting juice all over the roads all winter long and think, I wonder if that really melts the ice. Could we do that? So some highlights then of 2017 as I look back include the completion of the wastewater interconnect with our friends in Grand Forks. The project was completed at a cost of a little over $10 million, about 10.6, half of which was covered by the Minnesota legislature. And so we but it was about a $5 million project. Compare that to having to bring back our sewage lagoons at a cost of over $30 million. Massive savings for us, and also a benefit to Grand Forks because they had some unused capacity in their wastewater treatment. Absolutely a win-win for both of us. Now, with the completion of the wastewater interconnect, we do realize that Grand Forks and East Grand Forks can actually cooperate on certain things and serve both our communities at the same time. Let's see if we can get together on a South End neighborhood bridge and maybe a bypass bridge to the south of that for industrial and farm traffic in the future. Change can be hard to accept. We understand that. And yet, if we don't change, we will not improve. We'll just stay exactly as we are. I can assure you that through the process, cooperatively between Grand Forks, East Grand Forks, and including the counties and the states, we're going to be doing what's best for the neighborhoods, as well as doing what's best and most economical as we locate that South End neighborhood bridge. Another 2017 highlight is that our city reserves have been brought up to what we consider to be a good target for those reserves. And that was after about a decade of reserves being depleted. But finally, in the last year, we've hit a target which says we're pretty content and we can let it ride from there. Well, what does that mean? It should mean that now the changes in the levy could follow at about the rate of inflation, following several years of being a little bit higher than that. So it does appear that we'll be able to flatten out that tax situation. In 2017, we awarded a street paving project in the South End that was particularly challenging. It required compromise by all parties, including the neighbors in the subdivision and members of our city council. It took a lot of work by Steve Emery of our city engineering firm WSN. It took a very special effort by the council member from that ward, Mike Pukshavinsky. Early this summer, that pavement will be installed. And when it's done, I hope to be invited to a block party to celebrate. Also, I'm pleased to say that we have revised our development agreement to make pavement projects in new subdivisions more straightforward. In the city of East Grand Forks, we place a very high priority on public safety. I'm incredibly proud of the men and women who serve in our police and fire departments. We will make sure that they have the training, the technology, and all the other resources they need to do their jobs well. We're currently working toward adding a canine officer to the police force. This officer will assist in many situations. We believe that the canine officer will increase effectiveness and also add a measure of safety to other officers and to the community members. This year we had a fire in one of the elevators in our community. Elevator fires often have catastrophic outcomes, both for lives and property. As a testament to the quality of the people, the training, and the technology of our fire department, this fire resulted in limited property damage and no loss of life. Thank you for your service. We recently turned down a request through the City Council, through our Planning and Zoning Department, through the whole process. We're a team, right? We turned down a request to have a cellular tower built in one of our North End neighborhoods. The cellular company has shown they have a gap in coverage that needs to be addressed. We looked at our ordinance for the construction of cell towers and decided that the proposed location did not meet the criteria for construction at that site. The approval process is working, and there is an ongoing effort to identify the best site for the cellular company, for the neighbors, and for Valley Golf, who is working with the company. I'm hopeful that we can move to approval fairly quickly. Our goals for 2018 include getting the swimming pool open in the first part of the summer. As most of you know, the pool was closed last summer due to a fractured pipe and a failed liner. We're in the process of correcting the defects and making the repairs. I'm confident that the pool will open early this summer, in the early part of the summer. We will work to make sure also that the cost of those repairs and corrections does not carry to the East Grand Forks taxpayers, but instead will carry to those individuals responsible for the failure. Our city administrator, David Murphy, deserves much of the credit for his tenacity in seeing this whole process through. Also in 2018, we intend to reconstitute our Charter Commission. This group is tasked with making changes in the city charter, which guides the various actions of the city, much like the U.S. Constitution guides our federal government. There's a specific process to go through in establishing a Charter Commission governed by our current city charter and state statute. It has been many years since our city charter has been revised, and it does need updates in a few areas. Another of our 2018 goals is to revise our assessment policy for street replacement. Our current policy is out of date and no longer functions properly. Consequently, we're in a position in which we cannot replace a street in our city under the current program that we have. We will need to update this policy in such a way that it's fair to all citizens before we have more subcompact cars dropping into potholes. So now I'm going to ask for a show of hands. So that's you all. I'm going to ask for a show of hands, but don't raise your hand until I've identified 3 different categories of individuals. Are you ready? So wait till the end. Number 1, were you able to pay your mortgage last month? Don't raise your hand. Were you able to pay your rent? Is your home paid for? So if you fall into one of these 3 groups, I want to see your hand go up. These lights are bright, but I'm going to say it's pretty nearly everybody. If you fit into one of these 3 groups, you have affordable housing. So it's not a case that we do not have affordable housing in our community. We do. Everybody who lives in a home who fits in those 3 categories has affordable housing for them. What we don't have quite enough of is economical entry-level housing. For some reason, the private sector does an excellent job of developing the higher end and the moderately priced homes, but it seems to have a little trouble filling that niche of the lower priced economical homes at the entry level. There are many reasons for this, and we're trying to dig in to understand it. It will require that infrastructure costs of sewer, water, electricity, curb and gutter are kept to a minimum. It will require smaller, more efficient lots. It will require that house plans are designed with economics in mind, and that finishes and appliances are kept kind of into that moderate range. We have met already with the local lumber supplier to try to understand from their perspective how that might go. We've met with a regional agency that assists in the financing of these affordable entry-level type homes. And we've also met with a builder from another area who's involved in doing this already. Next, we plan to meet, and if there are any contractors or realtors here today, we will gather, and by all means call Mr. Paul Gordy at the EDA office if you'd like to be part of it, because the next meeting that we have planned is to meet with local contractors and realtors, also as a conversation to try to figure out what can be done in this area. Our goal, of course, is to work as much with local folks as we can. We're big believers the private sector can do this. It just might need a little bit of involvement by us. Local contractors, local building suppliers, local realtors, and even local lenders, of course, that will finance the whole thing. Combined with our other housing incentives, we want to make sure that the goal of home ownership in East Grand Forks is available to as many people as possible. Our goal, once again, will be to let the private sector do the job with the city and maybe other agencies involved just to the minimum of what they need to be. We're proud of the men and women who serve in our armed forces. We're fortunate to have the veterans of foreign wars and the American Legion in our community. We support all that they do to honor veterans. We've also enjoyed a renewed connection with the Grand Forks Air Force Base in the past year. We're working with them to nominate honorary commanders at the base, and we're also working with the Chamber of Commerce through the Military Affairs Committee. City Council members and city staff recently spent an afternoon on base with Commander Colonel Benjamin Spencer and Chief Master Sergeant Brian Thomas, along with other base personnel. We plan to have them over to East Grand Forks in the near future to continue the conversation. They enjoy partnering with us in enhancing the quality of lives for their airmen, which improves morale, increases readiness, and helps retain people at reenlistment time. The Grand Forks Air Base leadership is also working to offer educational opportunities to their personnel through the Northland Community and Technical College. We continue to enjoy a great relationship with ISD 595 Public Schools. Sacred Heart and Riverside Christian Schools continue to grow and prosper. And we look forward to working with Northland Community and Technical College to increase enrollment and expand course offerings. Our downtown is a life all its own now. It's really taken off with Cabela's, River City movie theaters, the state campground, the recreational area, all the shops, all the restaurants within walking distance of all of it. We plan to build on that success with a multi-use storm shelter alongside the campground in the coming months and probably in the coming years. We hope to have Governor Dayton up for a visit early this fall to discuss some of our city's issues, along with state funding possibilities. We will discuss post-secondary education, transportation needs, including a South End neighborhood bridge, and future needs for the Red River State Recreation Area Campground. At the end of this year, we will say goodbye to two city council members that I will miss terribly. Henry Tweeten is 94 years young and plans to retire from the council at the end of 2018. Henry and I have become good friends this past year. I appreciate his patriotism, his integrity, his broad political perspective on problem solving, and his memory of the history of our community. While serving in World War II, Henry was shot through the kneecap while fighting in Europe. Before the days of modern antibiotics and other treatments, battlefield injuries like this were often fatal. Imagine what we would have missed out on if Henry had not pulled through. Henry and I had a great road trip down to St. Paul and back recently. I heard some stories I hadn't heard, and of course, a few that I had. Henry told, of course, without names, of a story of a family that he was helping to prepare their estate. And Henry made the comment, "My goodness, you sure give a lot to your church." And they responded, "You know, God's been very good to us, very generous to us. We want to give a portion back." It was a priority for them. And then Henry responded, "You know, come to think of it, I've also worked with a lot of clients through bankruptcy, and I have never taken a client through bankruptcy who gave too much to the church." Henry Tweeten understands that we're here to serve and share what we have. Mike Pukshavinsky also plans to leave the City Council at the end of 2018. Mike and I have been friends for about 25 years, dating back to our time on the Chamber of Commerce Board together. I've appreciated his absolute candor on many issues. His understanding of the preferences of the people he serves is uncanny. This comes from asking questions and listening. When he believes in a cause, Mike is as determined an individual as I know. We've worked together on many projects through the years, and I will deeply miss working with him. He has hinted, however, that he may return when he's about the age of Henry Tweeten. For right now, he plans to return to his family in a more focused way and also to his business, Puck's Commercial Cleaning. You know, I once brought my car into the shop because of a squeaking sound in the front end in the area of the wheel. Turns out that my brake pads were worn thin and I was hitting the wear sensor on the brake pads. My car needed a brake job. Another time, the squeaking in the same general area turned out to be a strut in need of replacement. Another time, it was a CV joint. Oh, then on my Expedition, squeak, squeak, it was a ball joint. Oh, I actually did once have a wheel bearing that failed, so that needed bearing replacement. One time I went for an intermittent noise in my front end, brought it to the mechanic. He couldn't find it. It never did come back. So, what would have happened if I'd have just put a little shot of grease on any one of these problems? Well, most of them would have cleared up for a while, but they'd have come back because a shot of grease wouldn't have fixed the underlying problem. Well, there's an old saying that the squeaky wheel gets the grease to describe how government spending takes place. But throwing money at a problem without first diagnosing the problem is a waste. It's a waste of the people's money, and we can do better. Some problems need attention by us, by the government. Some by others, agencies, individuals. Some will just go away on their own. One area where government efforts alone will always fall short is in the area of poverty. Efforts by the federal, state, county, and local governments to reduce poverty are absolutely important, but they will never be enough. Poverty brings the greatest sense of gloom if you see a person or family in poverty and you're moved with a heart of compassion to help them, but then you look away and try to pretend you never saw. You can't get that out of your memory. You can't erase it. It will gnaw at you. And yet, you have your own internal conflict. If I give them money, what will they do with it? Will they buy alcohol or drugs? Would I actually be doing them more harm than good? And I'm late for work. I can't stop. What if they grab my wallet when I'm pulling out some money? I wonder how much they pull in a year. Right? So these are the internal conflicts that we all have when we consider helping someone. I serve on the board of the United Way of Grand Forks, East Grand Forks and area. I'm proud of the work that the United Way does. As most of you know, the local United Way has made a commitment to reduce poverty in our region. They do it by running programs and funding and supporting agencies that help people lift themselves out of poverty. There's a focus on education, job training, nutrition, health and wellness, freedom from addiction, transportation, housing, and the development of the skills a person needs to live with the financial freedom that most of us enjoy. They supply teaching and mentoring that no government program could provide. So now back to the question, how can I serve? Well, if you've been blessed with financial abundance or even a little extra, consider a gift to the United Way, the Salvation Army, or another local agency engaged in the battle against poverty. Maybe you could volunteer your time at a local food shelf or any other agency that's in need of volunteers. Sometimes we really don't even like to think about people in poverty. It may give us a feeling of sadness or discouragement to think about suffering people in our region. If this is true for you, I promise that engaging in the effort to relieve poverty will give you great joy. So thank you for the privilege of serving as your mayor. I appreciate the teamwork among the City Council, City Administrator, department heads, and city staff. I appreciate all of the community members who have stepped up and served on boards and commissions, and to every individual out there who, in your own way, works to make our community better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes our program. Drive safely. I appreciate everybody's attendance. Have a good day.